Well, it's Tuesday.
It is.
Wait a second. I've got a frog. It's Tuesday. And we've been doing railroad stuff for so long, we forget sometimes that we don't always do railroad stuff.
Well, I'm an avid collector, but a lot of it is those toys that I grew up with.
Well, we've done a whole bunch of 60s, 50s and 60s toys.
60s toys.
Because they mean a lot to us, because they're our toys from kids.
And some of them were just downright unusual. And when they made them for a while, and then that was it. They were gone.
That was typical.
And most of them ended up in the garbage can as kids, so they are rare to come across.
My mom always said your toy went to live on a ranch up north.
Really?
No, that was the dog. That was the dog. The toy, she said, well, if you hadn't lost it, you'd still have it.
Yeah, or it got broken or misplaced.
Or some stupid thing.
Or my parents would go through my room like a hurricane.
We've spent, I don't know how much money trying to repurchase all of the toys we had as kids.
If I find the unusual ones, the ones that strike a heart chord, a memory, if you will.
Yep.
Right. So one of the ones that I was almost too old for it, but I can remember for Christmas one year. We were at Kmart or Grand Central or something, and I'd seen these on TV, and it was like, it's a little teeny record player, and it really works. I'm after my mom, will you please, I want Santa Claus to bring it to me, please. I was kind of getting past, but kind of like a Christmas story, you don't want to take any chances.
It pays not to be skeptical. Yeah.
Right, so I wanted one, and I actually got it for Christmas, but it's this little teeny record player. So I actually was able to find one on eBay. And to try to find one that works when they do come up, they're expensive now. But this little guy here looks just like a transistor radio.
Doesn't look like a record player.
No, it doesn't even, it doesn't look like a record player. But this was kind of the sale ad, so you kind of get an idea what the price was like on it. $2.99.
Worth every penny.
If you move the decimal point to about $200, it's about what you're going to spend if one runs.
Adjusting it for inflation, just to say what was that retail price, $25 to $30.
Easy.
So it was, when your kid said you want this and they want that, and for Christmas, shelling out $30 isn't outrageous. But
and
it's not a cheap toy either.
Many things, they came with extra records. They came with 3 records, and here's the record. They're just small, but they're an actual record. But you can buy extra records for them. Of course, at more cost.
That was the goal, was to get you collecting.
And they had some really unusual names, too. I'm really surprised that somebody get into trouble. But they're a real record. They actually play.
Well, fire it up.
Let's see what it does. This one I got, it ran. And so it was a hair pulling contest, but I actually got it pretty good on eBay. And I had to work on it a little bit because it was howling, and I discovered the bearing and the little tiny motor was kind of acting up. So I put some lubricant on it, and it looks pretty good now for an old toy about 55 years old.
Sometimes you have to completely rebuild these things.
Yeah, right. If you can. They never did sound very good.
Speed control.
Yeah, they always sounded kind of crappy.
A lot of variation in speed there.
Right. But they run on a pen light battery, and when you close the lid, it's got this, there's no electronics there. That little needle picks up the sound off the record and plays it through a little plastic cone, almost like an old Victrola.
It's interesting that it can track it all that way.
I'm surprised too.
There was at about this same era a phonograph that you could buy to put in your car, because it used this same technology where instead of just the tone arm riding on the record and skipping all over the place, it had some system to track that so that it couldn't skip.
Wow.
Very similar to this, but it was a car phonograph.
See, I actually remember I had a high-rise bicycle and actually fastened that so I could listen to music driving down the road on my bicycle.
And it would work.
Yeah, until the kids are like going, what did you got that on your bike for?
Yeah.
Well, it's cool.
It's cool.
short little clip of the music. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be very long with this
No,
little tiny record like that because it's spinning at a pretty high rate of speed too.
So there was another one. I'd heard about it. I'd seen pictures of it, but never did see it. I always thought, as a kid, if I ever see that, I want it. Never did. I thought, well, maybe it was just in my imagination until I was on eBay one day and one came up for auction. And this was the Barbie size stereo version.
Stereo. Now, of course, it isn't actually stereo.
No,
it
there's
just,
a
it looks
speaker
like
in the
a
top.
stereo.
Again, it's a similar
same exact
configuration.
Yeah.
You know, it runs on a D cell that runs underneath this one, where you put the battery in on this one, but same principle idea. I got this when the seller had it up for auction, and of course, it turned into another hair pulling contest. But I was lucky and got this for a really good price. It didn't run, and so it was going to be for just a static model. But I was like, I knew they had these. I remember seeing one, but that was
They're scarce. They're rare as hen's teeth.
You very seldom ever see these. So I thought, okay, I got this one working better. I'm going to chance it and tear this guy apart because it was pretty rusted.
She had it spread all over the desk.
Oh, yeah, I had it. I wish I had taken pictures, but then I always jinx that when I do. But I decided after testing everything that some of the wiring in it was kind of corroded. There was a couple of wires off.
Motor was seized
And
up.
the motor was what was bad. And so I thought, yeah, it's a little simple motor. I'll just take it apart. And I took it apart and used some like WD-40 to clean it and got it working. And now it works. Now, it doesn't work as well as the other one, of course, because it was kind of seized up. But I'm lucky I got it to run, because if you can find one of these that run...
It tends to skip a bit.
Yeah. Same song. But I got it to work. I mean, what about that, right?
How about that? Is that neat or what?
Yeah. And once in a while you'll find one of these. Somebody has one on YouTube that they found that works, or they got it working. But they are scarce as hen's
teeth. That one
teeth.
is, it's the only one we've ever seen.
This is this might be the only working Mighty Tiny record player. These were called Mighty Tiny.
And the Mighty Tiny stereo record player.
Yeah. And I have collected a few records to go with it. There were the 3 that came with this one, but I've got a few records now.
And back in this era too, if it was cheap junk, it was made in Japan.
Yeah.
Then later on, of course, that became Korea, and now that's China. These things just move around.
Well, these were Ohio art.
Yeah.
Yeah, made in Japan. Mm-hmm.
But made in Japan. They would be U.S. importers.
Right.
But all of this stuff would be made in Japan because that was where the cheap market was.
Right. And I mean, you could just drive your parents nutty with something like this. And it's like, I can remember my grandpa always telling me, can you turn that off? It's loud, you know. And now I fully understand where he's coming from. I had to do some research, and of course I found a paper and printed it off on this very thing, but there's the ad, little stereo.
And I swear to God, these were sort of a predecessor to modern technology in a weird sort of way.
In fact, the one that is the precursor to modern technology, and I'm sure there's some people out there that would remember these either from your own childhood or your children. And my kids, they were my youngest daughter was about in 6th grade when these came out, 5th or 6th grade, hit clips. And they play a little song, they have a little record, and they play a clip.
MP3.
Yeah, and I can remember telling my girls at the time, they were so nutsy about that, because they go in here and you can listen to it through the earbud, and they would clip to your backpack. And
about the same length as these.
Yeah, about the same. And I tell my girls, one of these days, they're going to be able to put that whole album on a little MP3 player like that.
Yeah.
They'll buy a record album. It'll be, never mind that, how much music can you put on a thumb drive now?
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And it jumped from this to that within a matter of, I'd say, about 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
This is the whole memory chip with the song pre-recorded onto it at a really low resolution MP3. Right. And then on top of that, it can only hold about 20 seconds worth of music.
Right.
And MP3 has just...
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can get this one.
But in a weird sort of way, that is just a modernization of this.
Right.
A little 20-second, 15-second.
Almost. Yeah, it's better if you put it in your ear, but yeah, my daughter had one that you could actually put these in and outside. It was almost like this, but it was small. I just gave it to my granddaughter because I said, this used to be your mama's.
Wow.
And so she thought that was really cool. She's got her mama's toy. But in case anybody ever thought about having a hit clip.
Yeah.
But same thing, just smaller as this. Plays a
And
little
now these guys are getting kind of collectible too.
They are. If you run into these, I've had this one. This one I bought on Kohl's out when they were getting rid of them, so I've had it for years. But I go on eBay, and yeah, they've got them on there. They know what they want for these.
Yeah.
Because they don't make these anymore either. They're, I think, of the past. So.
This was replaced by the Walkman.
Well, the Walkman was out already. These
well,
were,
they had the cassette version of the Walkman, but then the digital Walkman.
Yes, and now people just have their music on their cell phone.
Yeah.
The entire song and albums and yeah.
Well, heck, if you want to, you can have access via the cloud and have every piece of music ever written by and performed by any, all on your phone. So whatever.
In sync. Wow.
Technology has changed just a bit. Of course, now vinyl's come back.
Yeah.
We never gave up on vinyl.
No,
We've been playing vinyl.
I still got vinyl.
And not because it was nostalgic, just because that's what our library was.
Couldn't afford the 8-track.
Well, why buy Allman Brothers again? We already have it, for crying out loud.
That's right.
So, anyway. We digress.
Yes.
Well, anyway, just kind of a fun toy from the 60s, and we haven't done an antique toy for a while.
Oh, we've got,
we thought we'd do another antique toy.
Yeah, so anybody that remembers these?
There it is. A fun, interesting antique toy. Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, do pop over to the channel, and we do have a playlist just for our antique toys.
Right.
And you can go looking for that. It's not terribly obscure. Toyman Television Antique Toys. And there's a whole playlist of ICBM missiles that run on water.
That's right.
And these and just all kinds of
It just
toys.
seems weird to say antique toy. Are we really that old?
Yeah.
I was thinking of my mom, her wood composite doll that I've got that's like almost 80 years old now, but that was an antique toy. We're that old now.
Yeah.
Whew.
Scary. We're antiques.
That's right.
Well, anyway, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, please click the blue button, which is coming up now. Are you ready for it? Zoink! Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you on Sunday as we work on the model railroad.
Oh boy.
We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.